It's time for Where You Live with Gene and Tony, the show that's all about owning, buying, selling, renting, and association management. If it involves a home, we'll talk about it. Here's your chance to get your homeowner questions answered. From the Concierge Landscape Studios, here's Gene and Tony.
Needed the shelter of someone's arms, and there you were. Needed someone to understand my ups and downs, and there you
Good morning and welcome to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. I'm Gene Sullivan.
And I'm Tony Crockett. Good morning, Gene.
Good morning. And today, on our topics we're going to cover on Where You Live, in the second hour, it seems like when people get feeling frustrated and disenfranchised, there's always a new advocacy group that is born, just
Sure.
right around the corner.
Sure.
And with homeowner associations, that's not any different with them either. We're going to talk today to one of these groups. This morning, Cyber Citizens for Justice President Jan Bergman will be joining us, and that'll be in the second hour. Also, we'd like to talk about the AARP, an organization everybody knows. It's founded to promote independence, enhance the quality of life for older persons. They've come out with their own version of a homeowner's Bill of Rights.
Particular to homeowner associations,
That's
correct?
right.
This isn't just generally real estate owners.
You're right. It's two
associations.
homeowner associations.
Yeah.
So we're going to ask the question, are they actually a Bill of Rights or just a Bill of Goods? You be the judge. We also had planned for the show today Senator Royce West from the state of Texas, who's going to be talking to us about that issue we talked about several weeks ago on the show with the soldier who came back from Iraq and was losing his home.
Oh, found out his home had been foorclosed by the
foreclosure.
association. Yeah.
But he was unable to join us last minute. He gave our regrets. We had a lot of responses from folks who emailed us saying, boy, when Senator West is on, please make sure you ask him this. Well, we're going to have him back on in the next couple of weeks. I'm sure we'll be able to get that rescheduled, but we won't have him today. But then, of course, we will also always be ready to take on your questions and to talk to you about what's on your mind as well today. Give us a call, the number 651-289-4488. And for those that are a bit shy, you can email us at Gene, G-E-N-E, at ncmgi.com, and we can read your questions or comments on the air as well. But right now it is time for that segment known as Property Management in the News. And today we're going to be taking a look at an article that was in the Star Tribune just before Thanksgiving with a homeowners association in Hopkins. The title of the article says, Financial Woes Spark Revolt at Hopkins Condo. It says, some residents of the Meadow Creek condominiums say they were misled, others that they ought to have paid better attention. Earlier this year, residents of the Meadow Creek condominiums in Hopkins got alarming news. Their condo association, the state's largest with 536 units, was in deep financial trouble. A new management company arrived in May to find shutoff notices for natural gas and electricity because of unpaid bills. Cost overruns on a new swimming pool that was put in came to $831,000, and other expenses had drained the association's reserves to zero. Since then, according to the property manager, the new one put in, they said that they've made staff reductions and other cutbacks and have the association back on its feet, but it's going to, and he says, a dues increase isn't necessary, yet there's an uprising at Meadow Creek, and it's directed at the association's board president, who also owns 45 units in the association. Apparently, there was a very raucous meeting, they said, in November, when one resident stood up at the meeting. He pointed to the board president with his finger, and he pronounced it a Donald Trump moment and said, "You're fired," he declared.
Drama at a homeowners association meeting.
And the board president said he wasn't going to step down unless his opponents follow the process laid out in the bylaws, or if someone steps forward that he was confident would protect his investment as a landlord. The issue here is kind of funny. Everybody seems to want to point fingers, Tony, at someone else.
Gee, how strange.
Yeah, it's a pretty easy thing to do. Here you have this gentleman, this homeowner, who points to the board and says, "Hey, look, you need to be fired."
The board president is the cause of this problem.
Things went wrong here.
Yeah.
And yet, the board president, later on in the article, he points to the other management company, and he said, "You know what? If I'm at fault, and yes, I'll take some blame here, it was that I didn't fire these people sooner."
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And the whole issue seemed to be over the idea of the financials that people said were the way something was expressed on the monthly financials.
So they were surprised to find out when new management took over that they didn't have a surplus, which apparently that's what they assumed from the earlier financial reporting, but instead they were in the hole and had depleted their reserves, and apparently the homeowners had not understood that.
Yes, they said that the pool was listed as an asset, and
instead of an expense,
as an expense.
Yeah,
but you know what? If I'm just thinking in my mind of just reading financials and Financials 101. I mean, when you take a look at the balance sheet, just because you have something that's listed as an asset doesn't mean that that entity has any money.
It doesn't make it a liquid asset.
Exactly. I mean, homeowner associations will own a unit that typically a condo association that on-site people would live in. They may own equipment like a tractor or for snow plows and other things of that nature. So they have assets that are valuable, and they'll be listed on the balance sheet. But that's not the same as cash. Cash is always stated as cash. You know the money you have in the checkbook. You know the money that you have in savings, in certificate of deposits. That doesn't change. And I don't see where this where these people are saying that this was hidden from them.
No, and from the information in this article, which we always know, Gene, the information in news articles is sketchy at best. It doesn't have enough information to really support the assertions made by any of the parties. But we know from experience that financial reporting is financial reporting, and it is either acceptable accounting practices or it isn't. And more often than not, the reporting is not the problem. The problem is that people don't understand the reports. So it's about asking questions, getting information so that you understand what you're seeing.
They either don't understand or they don't choose to take the time to want to understand what's going on because they think that everything's all right. The issue here seemed to be that back in 2006, a few years ago, the people at Meadowbrook said, "Hey, we have a swimming pool, and what we want to do is we want to update it." So that was fine. They got bids. They started the process. As they started lifting up the pool, they realized that there was a sewer line that ran underneath. And knowing that area, if it's a low area,
it used to be the raspberry acreage, wasn't it, in Hopkins? That's where the raspberries were grown.
I think
that's what I remember hearing.
Think probably.
So it was kind of wet and boggy.
Yes, and so when the old swimming pool is lifted up, all of a sudden the city came in. They said, "Hey, wait a minute. There's some codes. There's ordinances here.
Now we found this sewer line.
Here are things that need to be done, and you're going to have to correct this to be able to put in the pool." So now the cost had an overrun. So instead of them being able to expect about a $430,000 cost for the pool, now things doubled. And, that's not anybody's fault. That's not the management's fault. It's not the board's fault. That's just life.